right, everybody, welcome back to the Tomahawk. I'm Mike. Got Justin here and Matt. We're going to talk about the Hawks, and we are going to get into some great NHL news because there's a lot going on, and we are approaching playoff time. I think there's about 4 games left in the season, and things are really ramping up. So to start with the Hawks, they lost to Carolina. If you check their Twitter feed, Carolina said that erased that 2 goals deficit, no problem. It's funny to hear an organization like an underachieving organization like Carolina say something like that, considering they've only won 1 cup and their playoff aspirations have been pretty much nothing but wet dreams. But anyways, we'll get back to them later. Back to the Hawks. They didn't play very well. Colin Delia was in net, which I think was a big deal. I have just heard that Colin Delia really hasn't done much this season. Justin, could you tell us about it?
Sure. Let me get my soapbox ready. Hold on. I gotta get on top of it here. I like to think out of our trio here, I'm the more calm, cool, and collected one that doesn't get worked up. But strap in because here we go.
Wherever he is.
Here we go.
Here we go. All right. So let's start. Okay. We knew coming in the season they had this 3-headed monster. You didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know who was going to take the reins. Lankinen kind of got out to an early lead. Subban didn't really do much the entire season. They gave Delia that second game of the season.
He gave up 5 goals just like
blown out.
Malcolm Subban did the game before. And he
disappeared. You didn't hear from him again pretty much the entire season. And then, Stan Bowman comes out. Well, we're going to let him play 1 game out of these last 5. It's like, wow, thanks, Stan. That's great. You gave the guy 1 more shot the entire season, 60-something games, right? 56 games? Is that what it was? But right. The thing that I was looking up is, and I was wondering about this, so he could not go play really in Rockford because he was on the taxi squad the whole season. So at one point he got to go to Rockford for a conditioning stint where he didn't have to go through waivers. So I'm wondering if he's got a 1-way contract and that's why they're afraid to send him to Rockford. I don't know. But he got 4 games in the AHL this season. That's it. So he got 4 games in the NHL. He got maybe 2.5, 3 games in the NHL this year. So for a whole season for a 26-year-old who's still trying to develop as a goalie in the professional ranks, you let him play 6.5 games this season.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, I get you got Lankinen and you got Subban, but if you want to give this guy a shot, we've known for almost 2 weeks now that the Hawks were out of it pretty much for the most part. And you couldn't give him a start? I mean, Culleton or maybe it was Bowman, I don't know. They rested Lankinen for how many games during that 2-week stretch, and they just kept putting Subban out there, and he had to shut out the 1 game. He got yanked. Nothing happened, and it's like, so why did you? What do you expect now from Delia next year? On top of, if you go back to last season before the shutdown, he only got 30-something games in the AHL last year. So for a guy that is supposedly one of these potential starting goalies that you might use in the future, who knows if that's still the case with Lankinen now to get in the job, but in 2 years of growing and trying to expand his skills, he's gotten 30-something games, most of which were in the minor leagues. Like, how do you... So next season, when he comes in, how do you expect him to actually be able to play now? Because they've set him so far back. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand... I don't know if there's some bigger picture that I'm not seeing. Like, are they going to let him go? Are they going to use him as a trade piece? I don't know what the heck they're doing with their goaltending situation now, because Subban clearly isn't the backup answer. The guy that could be a backup answer, you didn't let play the entire season, so he's not getting any better. And Lankinen still is good, but he's got room to grow, and he needs to improve as well and prove that he can stick around. I don't know. Like, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are, because once I read that and kind of put all that together, it just kind of pissed me off. It's like, what are you doing now? You know what I mean? Like, you're ruining this guy's potential career. So, and he makes 100%. The most money out of all 3. That's the killer thing too. So,
what's his status? His years term?
Let's see. He is on a. Where's my hockey reference page? There we go. He is currently. He's on he's got a $1 million cap hit, and it looks like he was last signed. Come on, why can't I? You guys keep talking. I'll keep looking for it. I can't find it right now.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't know what he's doing with him. I think it was more of an insurance thing. I think they thought Subban would be the starter, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think that there's a possibility that they thought that Subban would be the starter and that Lankinen would kind of be on the taxi squad. The plan
But he was playing too good.
completely backfired. Lankinen, I think, is heads above in his development where Delia and Subban is, or if we could even say if Subban's even developing at this point, because
that's another good point.
It's more of the same. I honestly think that it's a possibility that Delia did not play to keep him protected from the expansion draft. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Now, aside from that, I think that he has his career could be it has been significantly derailed by this by what has happened this year, by him not playing. Now, whether if there's plans to keep him protected from the draft, that's one thing, okay? Because obviously you'd want to protect Lankinen before you protect Delia, because Lankinen has played better from what I've seen than Delia has ever played, okay?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that they knew what they were getting with Subban. It was more inconsistency, and they just wanted to leave him out there. But I think for Delia's sake, I think they're messing around with the guy. Maybe they've articulated this to him, saying, "Hey, look, here's the deal. We see you with the organization, but with the expansion draft coming up, we want to protect you from that, and you're going to be sitting on the taxi squad."
I looked up right now. He signed a 3-year extension in 2019. So next year will be his last year of his contract. And then I'm assuming he'll be 27. He might be out of RFA status then, right? I always get confused how that works.
I think it's 26, right?
Yeah. So, and Mike, I'm glad you brought up the whole thing with them possibly kind of explaining to him. Charlie Remiliotis, I don't know if you guys ever see him. Sometimes he's on... what is that? NBC Sportsnet Chicago. He's one of the beat writers for them. He kind of talked about how, he's thankful to be a part of the organization and he's thankful to compete and it's super gratifying. So he's towing the company line. And I mean, like I said, his salary is $1 million. So if you told me I could pay $1 million and sit and watch hockey, I mean, granted, I'd be a little bummed because like you said, it might derail your career a little bit if you're not getting any playing time. But at the same time, I can't feel too bad for him. One of the quotes is, he said, if that's my role to be an observer up to this point, so be it. I love to play hockey. I love to compete, and I'm super grateful for this opportunity. So, I mean, you
feel bad for him, though.
I feel bad for him, but I mean, he's just kind of towing, he's just kind of taking the positive PR move, like he's a team player, and I appreciate that, but
you can't get him. He can't build his value up, even if there's a trade, because they have nothing to base it off.
He hasn't played.
Right.
I mean, he looked good. Was it 2 or 3 years ago when he got like a good maybe 15, 20 games in? I think I remember. Was it Crawford went down and then
Scott Foster came in?
Yeah, and then Delia kind of played. He had a little mini run there, and he looked decent. But like you said, I think Lenkinen's the guy. I think they probably didn't realize Lankinen was the guy, so that's why they signed him to that extension. But I don't know. Hopefully we'll see what happens.
Hopefully it's not like another Carter Hutton thing. I remember we got rid of him. And he actually has been a pretty decent goalie.
He went to Nashville and then Buffalo, right? Was that where he went?
I think he went to St. Louis.
St. Louis, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a solid backup, right?
Then he signed with Buffalo and bye-bye.
Well, yeah, that's where dreams
careers go to die. I agree with you. But to be in the NHL and to be an NHL player, I would think that you need to have the mind of a killer. You need to be thinking about competing and getting out there and doing your best. Someone telling you like, "Hey, look, you're not going to be playing right now," kills that kind of mentality. It makes you, and then you can't just turn that back. I mean, you can, but you can't just go in and turn it like, "Oh yeah, you're going to come in for a start now." It's like, well, am I playing or what, man? Because I can't just get hyped up and then come down after that and not care. And
especially if you're sitting up in the press box and you're watching Malcolm Subban get chance after chance and he's not looking that great. And like you said, I think to be a professional athlete, you're wired a little bit different than, the normal person. So, it's frustrating. We'll see what the agenda is for next season, but they'll have some tough decisions to make. That's for sure.
I mean, every single player that plays in the NHL, wherever they were before this, they were the man.
Yeah.
Going in college hockey or in high school hockey, junior hockey.
Yep.
They grew up, they were the guy,
Yeah.
and it's got to be rough to see someone else playing worse than you. But then again, like you said, he's like, well, I'm making more than he is, and I'm sitting here watching him squander down there.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I get another popcorn and a hot dog while I'm sitting here watching the game?
Right. So moving on, let's talk about the defensive core. Let's talk about Nikita Zadorov. Is that his name? I don't even care about that. Zadorov. You know, man, this freaking guy. You know, between him and Calvin DeHaan, I really like Calvin DeHaan. I think that he's someone
He
who's
might get picked up.
who's really played well for the team. I think he was a good veteran presence. I think the Kraken are going to take him. And number one,
I would.
And Zadorov, I think Zadorov might be gone in a trade, to be honest with you, because I don't see him. Is he a good defenseman? Probably. You know, he probably played great on the Devils or something, you know, but
Shut down. Yeah.
yeah, but he doesn't fit into what they're trying to do in Chicago. Like, he's just not that type of player.
What are we trying to do?
Well, it looks like they're trying to be fast and move the puck from the outside looking in. It seems like that's what they're trying to do. Are
Which
they doing
puck
it?
movers?
I mean, are they executing it correctly? No. But
We
I
don't
think-
have any solid puck movers except Ian Mitchell. He has potential to be that guy.
I think
Sure.
Wyatt Kalynuk can move the puck pretty well too.
We'll see.
I think he could maybe grow into it, but I think it'll take some time.
Mitchell's the only one that stands out.
Yeah.
Moving
I
the
would
We
puck.
agree
want
with that.
Bodquist to be that guy, but we
Boquist is
rant
not-
about him all the time.
Yeah,
So
we
No,
do.
thank you.
That's not it. I mean, he's not.
he's too small. He's
not
too
the
small,
answer.
slow. Yeah.
You know, that's really funny that you mentioned that, because I've always thought that I would think that he would be quicker than he is, but
Yeah. For a
especially
small
for
guy,
his size.
One would think.
Yeah. He's
You
not that fast.
You know,
No.
you see. Well, then again, you know, Alex DeBrincat, man. I mean, he's got. I think he has elite speed.
That goal where that shorty, that
Yeah.
was awesome. He turned
Yeah.
it up, man.
He is one of the bright spots, especially this season, where it's like
Yeah,
this guy can kind of take the reins, and as Kane gets older and as Taves, if he comes back, you can kind of see, okay, well, here's a guy that can keep producing offense. And, you know, you don't have to worry about him taking as much of a decline, because this is what, his fourth season now?
I think fourth.
Okay. And
Fourth,
I know he had,
first with new deal, right? Or is it
yeah.
I
second?
believe he had 2 good seasons, and then
did.
last
Dip.
season he had a dip because he had that new contract kick in, which
Yeah.
which I think was a bit of a burden for him.
sure.
And this year he's been playing well.
Yeah.
Well, I think he could be the next 50 goal scorer that we haven't had since Roenick.
Yeah,
I see
That
the
would be-
potential.
Great if that happened.
I mean, if we had another 30 games, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
He
way
probably
he's
could have
playing,
done it
for
this year,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward, let's get to talking about some NHL news, because there isn't much left to talk about the Hawks other than they lost 6-3 to the Carolina Hurricanes, which you guys know how I feel about them. But let's move on to some other NHL news. What do you got? Matt?
Well, let's start with the Wilson hit. That's been all over the media.
Very
that's been
popular.
I've been in
huge.
different states, and that's the only thing I hear about on the local hockey channels.
Really?
I thought it was, you know, I had a guy on Twitter. He compared it to the Bertuzzi-Moore incident. Remember that?
I saw something like that too myself.
And I'm like, dude, that is not even close. It looked like a scrum, and I think Wilson went too far.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he went too far.
Yeah, he did.
And they, you know, Panarin, it sucks that he had to be the one to kind of answer the bell. He's your star guy. You don't want to see him get hurt.
Yeah.
And he's hurt. They're lucky they're not in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
Even if they might be close, but it's done now.
Well, here's the thing, and this is why, you know, I think what's his name? I think Wilson's a freaking scumbag, dude. I think he's a scumbag. I don't like him, and that's how I feel about him. Here's the thing about this freaking guy is that if that was Zdeno Chara on him, he's not going to try and ragdoll him like that.
No.
He
No,
saw that
not a chance.
he saw that it was Panarin, and he took advantage of that like a fucking scumbag, dude.
Well,
and
who did he do that?
I don't
Who
like
did he
that
do
kind
it
of
to
stuff.
before? Was that Bushnevitz or whatever his name is?
I think that was
jumped him too.
Yeah, that was before. Mm-hmm. And then Panarin wasn't throwing any punches though. He came in there, he got on his back, and he was just trying to, get in the scrum a little bit and defend his teammate. But he wasn't dropping the gloves.
No.
And Wilson was just throwing him around, and he got hurt. I mean, I give him credit for standing up for his teammate, but at the same time, dude,
that's not the guy. I guess
I'll play devil's advocate. You don't want to get in the ring if you're gonna get ran over, and that's exactly what happened.
It takes balls though.
It does. He's Russian. He's freaking crazy.
Yeah. They're nuts.
I feel like Wilson is Matt Cook, but with talent.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't get me wrong, like the guy can play hockey when he wants to turn it on, and he can actually, make some nice passes and score some goals. But like, it's your typical like, what I've seen on Twitter too is like all the Caps fans like, he's our guy and rallying around him. And I get that. Like if he was on our team, you'd probably we'd like him more because he brings that grit. But I mean, like when you see, and I've watched that replay a couple times, and it's like, okay, you see Panarin's helmet's off, and then you take the guy. I mean, it looked like he had him almost by like the shoulders or by the head, right? And then to slam him like
into the ice.
We've played men's league in ice and inline, and it's like I'm trying to think like if someone's helmet ever popped off, I don't think I would have like that edge, like this guy just jumped one of my teammates, I'm going to slam his head to the ice now. And maybe it wasn't on purpose. Factor. Exactly. Yeah. And maybe it wasn't on purpose. Who knows? Maybe they got tripped up or they lost their footing, whatever. But it's like you were saying earlier, Mike, like if it was Chara or I don't remember if it was Matt that said it, like he's not going to do that because he knows he's going to get his ass kicked. Right. Like, you know what I mean? So
or Ryan Reeves.
Or Ryan Reeves.
Ryan Reeves. Can you? I mean, Ryan Reeves would have tore him a new one. I would like to think. But the thing that I thought was interesting. What did you guys think of that press release that the Rangers organization released about how they were so upset with George Peros and he needs to resign?
Yeah, that was. That was very direct.
I sent you that text.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Having George Peros be the Department of Safety is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
This guy. Don't get me wrong. He's a Stanford graduate, right?
Yeah, he's a smart dude.
He's super smart. He's got a cool clothing line.
Yeah.
But come on, dude. He can't do that. Are you serious?
What did you expect was going to happen? So now you have the Rangers feel like they need to take it into their own hands. You have a line brawl that starts when the game begins. And I think there was, like they said, 100 penalty minutes in the first period tonight.
Wow.
And then I saw, was it Bushnevitz cross-checked Mantha to the face and he got a game misconduct for that. So... I'm sure they're going to start throwing suspensions, and it's like, well, if you would have just given Wilson a game or two, instead of a slap, let's be realistic. These $5,000 fines, that's the biggest joke in all of pro sports. Yeah. I mean, for all leagues, like that'd be like me going through my couch cushions and like finding a couple quarters and being like, here you go, here's my fine. You know what I mean?
Well, you know how you prevent that? You make it a higher fine. Where it's going to hurt the guy.
It has to
Wilson
hurt them.
Won't be a dick. Yeah.
And you have to have it so that like the team can't, like sometimes the teams will foot the bill so that the player doesn't even have to pay the fine. You know what I mean? So it's just ridiculous. It's like you said, I think George Peros is a cool dude. I like his clothing line too, but they gave the Ghost, Shane Gostisbehere the other night, he boarded somebody. They gave him two games for boarding, which again, you shouldn't be boarding. You should know better. I mean, I get it, but a guy throwing someone's head to the ice, you're going to give him a $5,000 fine? Give me a break, Well,
here's
so
what
weird.
comes into question, is that essentially the Rangers are questioning the NHL's integrity, saying you say that you care about the players and we've done all of these things to protect players from head injuries, and you've got Wilson throwing Panarin into the ice without a helmet on, and he's like their $12 million player, $13 million player. I mean, he's essentially one of the stars of the league. Where Wednesday night showdown, it's going to be Artemi Panarin versus the Devils. Yeah, and they're not protecting their players. What if, God forbid, Wilson did this to somebody like Panarin? He hits his head on the ice and the guy doesn't fucking move.
Yeah. I mean, it's happened in, this kind of stuff. I mean, granted, I wouldn't compare it to the Bertuzzi hit, but I mean, this kind of stuff there's a possibility this stuff can happen. And Wilson he's a repeat offender. And I know people will say, oh, well, he he made it through like the 6 months or 2 seasons without getting another fine, or I can't remember. There's a period of time where you're taken off that list, and I want to say the last time he did something, he didn't qualify as a repeat offender because enough time had passed. But it's like,
it's like a probationary thing.
Yeah, like a probationary period. But it's like,
Yeah.
come on, you know the guy's doing stuff, and then tonight he gets hurt, and so he's out of the game. Is he really hurt, or do they just grab him and say, "Hey, you need to get out of here because this stuff needs to end. Otherwise, someone's really going to get hurt." You know what I mean? I don't know.
And this is a problem. Trying to run an NHL team, do you mean to tell me that you can't play your lineup because you have to take guys out because they're too incendiary for the game?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
That's insane.
That causes a problem.
And I mean, in the NHL has enough marketing problems as it is with getting new fans, and this has become the entire story now right before the playoffs instead of people getting excited for the playoffs. And I'm sure that's a nightmare for the NHL, but they did it to themselves. I mean, when it was Peros or was it Coley Campbell that used to run the player safety department, and then you had what's his name? He's in Toronto now.
Brendan Shanahan.
Brendan Shanahan, yeah. I mean, they would come out with their little video trying to explain.
Oh, yeah. Rob Blake, too.
Yeah, Rob Blake. Like, some guys have done it better than others, but it's like, you got to have some sense of
there needs to be a limit to stuff.
You know, or make it, okay, this is what you did. Let's look at our little spreadsheet here. This is how many games you get, and it is what it is. Oh, you're a repeat offender? Okay, we look over here. Now we tack on another 10 games. You know,
that's the thing, too, with Ovechkin. He was suspended this year for going in a hotel room with his teammate.
Yeah.
He got 4 games for that.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
That's very innocent compared to that. And he gets fined.
Yeah.
There's no consistency, like you said.
That's the NHL's. I mean, that's been a problem for for decades now. I mean, there's so many things you look, it's like, wait, that's the punishment, and this other guy over here. I mean, remember Matt Cook when he stepped on someone's ankle, and I mean, he did it a couple times with his skates, because I remember then they were making the Kevlar ice hockey socks. And it's like, clearly there's a problem. You need to get rid of some of these guys. And I'm not saying, kick them out of the league but you got to stamp down on them. Otherwise it's going to keep going.
Well,
so
you start fining him $1 million for being a repeat offender.
Yeah.
He's going to stop.
Yeah.
He's going to stop.
Yeah.
Matt, the league has been trying to move away from, most of the time when people think of hockey, they're like, oh yeah, I want to see the fights, this and this. And it's like, that's not what hockey's about. There's a lot of skill that goes into the game. Number one, you need to be able to skate. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two, after you learn how to skate, you have to be able to pass and play the positions. And the NHL has been trying to move away from this persona of being, of people coming to see the fights and to a persona of people wanting to watch hockey and sell the game as a very exciting sport. Do you think that maybe they should embrace this, like this story of like, oh, look what's going on. Look what happened to the Rangers and Capitals game. It's all over the place right now because there's so much media attention on it. Do you think that this is good for hockey, or do you think that it's bad?
Well, for ratings, it's probably good. But I think the NHL will never ban fighting, but they're pretty much banning it without doing it. Now you have to wear a helmet when you fight. If the helmet comes off, it gets broken up, and I mean, it's not. You ever try punching somebody with a visor on and a helmet? I mean, you're going to break your hand. Yeah. So they're pretty much fighting. It's pretty tough. I mean, there's not too many guys left, so. Unless you got skill, like you said, and Wilson's one of those guys.
Yeah. And that's his saving grace, is that he can do a little bit more.
Ryan Reeves, I mean, if it wasn't for fighting, I think he would be maybe a 4th line AHL guy. Yeah. Quite honestly. I mean, I like the guy, but you know what though? When he's on the ice, you're not going to take.
You're looking over your shoulder all the time.
Exactly.
If you're playing right. I've never seen him just go out and hunt people down for no apparent reason whatsoever.
No, he's more of a defense kind of defender. Right. You know what I mean? If someone's going after, Mark Stone or messing with Fleury or Leonard or, your top, they got a really good defense. Like they pay guys there.
Right.
And this guy's pretty much keeping them in line. Hey, if you're going to go after my guys, I'm going to go after your stars.
Yeah.
And who was our last guy like that. I mean, we had some guys. I thought Jamal Mayers might have been, and he could quite honestly play.
I thought Jamal Mayers was pretty talented though too. He had good speed he had good speed and he played pretty well too.
Ben Eager could skate. Carcillo could kind of skate. I mean,
Carcillo got really weird.
Yeah.
I like he's defending. He with the whole head injuries and stuff. But it's like, come on, man! You fought your whole career and made money doing that.
Caused some
now
of
you're
it,
going against it. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, John Scott couldn't skate if his life depended on it.
Couldn't.
But
no,
he might as well have been skating backwards.
Yeah,
but I know if you talk to star players, they love those types of guys.
Oh,
they
of course.
rally around these guys, and they're drawn to the guys.
Well, that way they don't have to do it.
Gretzky had McSorley in Edmonton and LA. I mean, especially if you go back to the 80s and 90s, every star had somebody kind of watching their back.
They had a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Probert was Yzerman's all those years. And
oh, man.
Probert could actually play.
Yeah.
He was putting up
he had
like
a couple
30 goals.
30 goal seasons, right?
Yeah.
20 goal seasons, yeah.
I thought I saw him dangle a couple times.
Well, even Darren McCarty. I thought he had a great playoff that season, and no one messed with those guys except Claude Lemieux, that whole rivalry that happened.
McCarty was a tough guy.
But they made him pay, and Darren McCarty did a breakdown of that. He goes, I made him pay. I kept hitting him when he was down. I kept shoving stuff in his face, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, you got to defend your teammates. So we don't have that. We get pushed around a lot.
Yeah, we haven't had that for a long time.
No. We get pushed around by skilled teams. That's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. Who do you think could fit into that role? This guy Mike Hardman seems to be along one of those maybe power forward type of guys. Maybe
what's David Kochi up to?
oh man, there's a name I haven't heard forever. Holy cow!
Oh, he was pretty fun to watch until his face got opened up by Chara going after the biggest guy in the league.
You could count how many times he broke
balls
his nose
over
each
brains
season.
on that one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Going back to what you guys were saying about them trying to get fighting out. Like, obviously, you don't want to see them say there's no fighting whatsoever, because I think there's still a time and a place at times, right? I mean, it's the only sport where there's full contact all the time, and there's a lot of it's legitimate, allowed contact, right? So you need somebody to kind of keep things in line. I'm just glad that they've gotten rid of the whole hey, we're going to go out after the second intermission at the beginning of the third period, and we're going to fight like at 2 minutes in just because the crowd wants to see it. Like that kind of shit drove me nuts. It's like, come on, I'm not, call me crazy. I'm there to see, I want to see offense. I want to see defense. I want to see skill. I don't need to see two guys having a circus match just because that's what they're paid to do. Like, if you can skate and you want to be more of a, I wouldn't even say an enforcer, but just more of a hard-nosed player that people are going to keep an eye on, I'm all for that. Like in the playoffs, there's no fighting, and it's just all scrums after whistles. I love that shit. Like, that's great. I love that.
Yep.
I mean, even like Olympic hockey, like at first you might notice there's no fighting, but then you got people kind of riling everybody up after the whistle. So I'm fine with that.
And you're like, look at all of that ice.
That's a whole other
Olympic
thing
ice.
too. Yeah, gigantic ice surface. Yeah,
it's like holy smoke.
Let's go fight over there.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll meet you there.
The ref's looking over there. By the time he gets around to turn around, he won't see us. So.
Right.
But
so cool. What else you got, Matt?
Well, I was going to mention what just mentioned already about Gostisbehere being suspended for 2 games. No, it's okay. But I was going to actually say the same thing. It's like that he got 2 games for that, and Wilson got fined. Like, come on, boys, let's go, Peros. Let's maybe not worry about some shirts and yeah, exactly. But it looks like the Predators they didn't make it yet. It said that they failed to clinch tonight, which is good. So hopefully, I'd rather see Dallas take that.
Yeah,
spot.
I'd rather see Dallas too.
Yeah,
I hate Nashville.
I like seeing Nashville fall short.
So do I.
Again,
they're another team that talks a lot of smack and haven't.
Yes,
done
they do.
anything
Their fan base does too.
Oh, do they?
Oh yeah,
at least
go
on
throw
Twitter,
a catfish on the ice in the third period while you hold it in your pocket the whole game. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Against the Hawks in 2007, they were terrible.
Yeah,
I remember going to those games and you see a catfish. It's like, okay,
you're not Detroit.
Whatever that means.
You can't make that happen. That's not how this works.
I never understood that.
No.
But I will say I watched the Minnesota Wild and Vegas game the other night, and Minnesota was down 2 goals in the third, and ended up tying it and then winning in OT. And Leonard actually did not look like Blackhawks Leonard. He looked pretty shaky,
like Buffalo Leonard.
Well, yeah, he looked shaky, and I couldn't. Vegas is so good. Like, they break the puck out in like 2 seconds. Like, it's boom, 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 tic tac toe pass. But I'm actually really surprised with Minnesota. I can't believe that they're in the top 4 over there. I did not expect that.
No.
In Minnesota, when I was there, it's all Kaprizov. This guy's the man, and he's actually exciting to watch.
That's the name of a villain, man. But I mean, he plays like it though.
Well, he kind of reminds me of like a Havlat. Like, he's real like dynamic and explosive, and he's he's sick, man. He's got some good moves.
They were talking about him like for Rookie of the Year, right?
Right.
Wasn't that kind of one of the contenders?
I'm sure he'll be. Yeah. Lincoln kind of played himself out of that, but
he's Kaprizov has really come out to be somewhat of a star in Minnesota. Do you know what I mean? Like a guy who's standing out as like, this is going to be the next guy.
Yeah, there's not that many guys like that stand out. Like, they're like Matt Dumba's a good player. I mean, Jared Spurgeon's good. He's their new captain.
Oh God,
but he's not really he's not a big name guy.
Not a superstar, no.
Ryan
Suter, yeah,
he plays big minutes, but I mean, he's not. He's not.
Is he still playing big minutes?
I think so. I've seen him out there a lot, and the goalie is Cam Talbot, which is crazy. He's kind of jumped around a little bit.
Yeah, he has.
He's been playing good for him.
There's something about old Edmonton goalies going to Minnesota and finding their
Dubnyk.
Yeah.
You're right.
Something in the water up there. Those 10,000 lakes.
Be,
Hey,
in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Matt. Why don't you tell everybody what we got coming up?
Oh, next podcast we have NHL Network's On the Point. Jake Hahn coming on with us, and he's an awesome guy. He's real friendly Canadian,
really cool guy.
This guy is like a freaking. He knows everything about fantasy hockey. He told me. Well, he didn't tell me when I was listening. I would definitely draft Varlamov this year because the Islanders have a great defensive system, and I listened to him, and he's got like 10 shutouts this year.
Yeah.
So I was a middleman. Now I'm to the top. So he's just a great guy, and we're gonna have him on, and hopefully we can have him on again because he's just a really cool guy.
Great.
He's him and his show with Boomer.
It's like the best.
They are probably, I would agree. They are the best show on XM on NHL Network Radio because they're honest. They know their stuff. They have a good chemistry between the two of them. And like you said, Jake really knows his stuff. So I'm super excited to get to talk to him.
He also told me, well, the listener to pick up Adrian Kempe from LA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I pick him up because I was just listening, and this guy, he went on like a 6-game goal streak. I'm like, dude, how do you know this? It's just insane. But I like all the guys on the network, but they're all cool. But these two guys are like super friendly guys, and they're just they remind me of like just going to a bar and meeting guys. Hey, cool, what's going on? You like hockey? And you just talk for like 3 hours with the guy.
Yeah, so it should be exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. We've got that coming up next, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So be sure to tune in. This podcast is going to drop on Monday morning. So be sure to let us know what you think. Hit us up on Twitter. Get the conversation going. What do you guys think of the Wilson hit? Is Panarin, should he not get into any scrums going forward? And how much do you you not hate Zadorov on the Hawks? So
he got it.
Be sure
took all year. He got it.
Guys, it has been a pleasure. This is a Tomahawk, and we're out.